All right, recording set. I tested it this morning. And we are live. Good morning, everyone. Dean Court here, President, CEO of HomeSmart Professionals Real Estate. And I am so excited today to be joined by Tracey, the safety lady Hawkins. Tracey, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Dean.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is such a timely topic during Realtor Safety Month, and you are a pro in this arena, right? So I appreciate you sharing some insights with us. And before we get started, I want to give our audience, some insights as to who exactly Tracey, the safety lady, is, right? So if I may, I'm gonna, ask you to oblige me in giving some insight and background for yourself. Okay. Tracey, the safety lady Hawkins, has taught thousands of professionals across the country to live and work safely for over 27 years. She is a safety writer for The Close and a safety expert and contributing writer to the National Association of Realtors, Realtor magazine, realtor.org, and also a contributing writer to the National Association of Residential Property Managers, Houston Realtor magazine, and RIS Media, which is unbelievable. She's created a comprehensive two-part article and wrote that about sustainability and natural disasters for RIS Media. And you're also a go-to safety expert for Inman. All of these names, all of our attendees know very well, right? Congratulations again. You were selected as a 2022 RIS Media Newsmaker in the Crusader category for your innovative work. And you're also featured on many broadcasts with, Washington Post, Boston Globe, CNN, ABC News, so many more. The list goes on and on. So without further ado, Tracey, thank you so much. That's just a synopsis of everything that you've accomplished in your career, and it's just incredible. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for hosting me. You're making me blush, Dean.
I have that effect.
And I simply must say, I get to do this across the country. I get to do it. And as you can imagine, September is my busy, busy month. I go everywhere. And yes, when I met Dean, the fact that he picked up on the safety, and I didn't have to twist his arm. And that's something that I find in this business, is that I have to convince people that they need me. And a lot of times people wait until something happens before they call me. So when I met Dean, it was instant. It's like, gotta have you talk to my agent. So I have to say kudos to Dean, high five, virtual high five, all that good stuff. And for a leader to take that responsibility and to truly care, it means something. And again, I do this all the time and I don't see that often. So Dean, I appreciate that you're looking out for your agents, and I didn't have to twist your arm, and not only your agents, but for all real estate agents. So that's a plus for the real estate industry, broker owners like you.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. And I would love to dig in. There is a ton of content, right? Some of these sessions that you've created are hours long, right? So here we are with just a quick conversation here this morning, and would love for you to dig into some of the high points of what you're having realtors focus on. We've got realtors safety for their own personal safety, right? Realtor safety for their clients. I know you educate on those topics, and then the what we don't consider safety, but cybersecurity safety, cyber safety, and they all interconnect, right? So would love for you to share any insights as you see fit. I will watch our feed to see if anybody has particular questions as well. And let's dig in.
Right. And definitely, if anyone has any questions or comments, jump right in there. And as Dean said, he will let me know. So don't wait, don't worry about it, jump in.
That's right.
I got an opportunity last year to speak at the National Association of Realtors conference, the national conference, and the topic they chose for me to speak about is lessons learned. And so what I had to do is I had to talk about crimes against real estate agents and what happened. We don't blame the victim, but the question is what happened that we could do differently? What lessons can be learned? So that was the topic, and that is something that I weave into every presentation. And I know that when we think about something that happens in the real estate world, and we think it'll never happen to us. And that's why I think it makes it more realistic and more relatable. If I am telling stories about specific crimes, let's take a look at it and let's talk about what can be done differently. But I have to go back. In order to be in this business for 27 years, I had to do something a little different. I had an aha moment, I want to say about 7 or 8 years ago, when I contacted an association and I said, I'd like to bring my safety training to you. And she said, Tracey, that's great. You know, I know what you do is great. I know it's necessary. She said, but it's not good business. I was like, what are you talking about? She said, I can't invest in you because real estate agents only show up for training that teaches them how to make more money. So it's like,
right.
So I had to put on my thinking cap. It's like, how can I?
It's an easier training to get activity at, right?
Exactly, exactly. So how do I make safety profitable? So I actually had to go out and create a designation. And I just completed the designation with the Houston Association of Realtors this week. Real estate agents had to take 2 CE classes to earn credit. But the key is I am teaching real estate agents not only how to work safely, and having been an agent, I know what's realistic and actionable. I'm teaching them how to add value to the relationship with the consumer. That's the buyer, that's the seller, and the FISBO. So I am saying, here's how to make them love you. Here's how to build your business by keeping them safe. So that has been the key to being able to still be standing here 27 years later, and the expertise that's involved. Dean, I live and breathe real estate safety. I don't know how to turn it off. So I know the stories, I know the statistics, yes. I know the numbers, and I walk the walk. So that's why when I'm talking to agents about these crimes against agents, they're paying attention to me. And you said you wanted to talk about one of the top things today. I start every single class with my favorite book. And I don't know if you can see this here. Let me pick it up. I don't know if anyone's familiar with this book. The Gift of Fear by Gavin D. Becker. Every single program, and I do safety programs, not just for real estate agents, but senior citizens, for home health workers, general safety. And I talk about the safety tool that every single one of us is born with. And I just, let me ask a question, if you guys can get in the chat there. Who knows the safety tool that we are born with that we already possess? And Dean, let me know if anyone answers that in the chat. And if they don't, I know you will.
I'm watching the chat. I welcome anyone sharing that thought. Repeat that question so everyone knows.
Okay. Every single animal in nature is born with a safety tool designed to keep us safe. And I am asking if anyone is familiar with the book, The Gift of Fear by Gavin D. Becker, and who can answer the question, what is the safety tool that we're all born with? And if there's no one in the chat if anyone doesn't want to answer, I'm going to turn that question on you, Dean. Do you know what
everybody's
it is?
Everybody's playing shy, right? So I'm going to say the instinct of fear, to tie it into the book, because ultimately we were born with that innate ability, right? But the mind is designed to protect us. It's why we do or don't do certain things, right? Even when it comes to accomplishing goals in our everyday career, there are certain things we won't go out and do because the mind is telling us not to do. It's designed to protect us. Do I have the right answer?
You know you're right. I couldn't have said
well, you didn't prepare me for that. I wanted to make sure.
Right. I couldn't have said it better. Every animal in nature is born with that built-in survival mechanism. We call it gut, intuition, instinct, sixth sense, flight or flight. I've even heard it called spidey sense. Whatever you want to call it, it's sole job is to keep us safe. It has
Yes.
no other agenda, no other purpose, but to warn us when we are in danger. And the problem is, out of all of the animals in nature who possess that tool, human beings are the only ones who ignore it. And we ignore it for a number of reasons, because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings. We want to be nice. And we are dismissing the fact that that voice is telling us there's danger ahead. I get to talk to a lot of real estate agents. So I had a couple of agents share a story with me. Both of them were veteran agents. They had been in the business over 20 years. One agent was going to show a new client houses that afternoon, and it just so happens that he's a doctor. And she was going to show him, of course, mansions, big, expensive houses. She was excited. So she told the agent on board duty, and I'm probably dating myself, I don't know if there's still such a thing, but she said, let me know when my client gets here. So she goes back to her desk, and then the agent on board duty at the front desk, she sees a guy walking in, he has on the lab coat, so it's her client. She goes back, she said, your client's here. She said, but I have a really bad feeling. How well do you know him? She said, I don't know him. I just met him. You know, he called in and we're going to go look at houses. She said, I've got a bad feeling. Can you please postpone this showing and then check him out a little bit more and then reschedule? She said, you're so silly. She went to go show the doctor houses. So later on that afternoon, she got back to the office and she got a phone call from the doctor. And she said, this phone call is weird. You know, you're talking like we've never met. You know, what's going on? He said, that's weird. We met? What are you talking about? She said, you showed up at my office. I showed you houses. We spent the afternoon together. You had on your lab coat. You had on your name tag. What's going on? 2 weeks ago, he said, someone broke into my office and stole my lab coat. It wasn't me.
Wow.
So at that point, she was shook up. She went to the other agent. She said, what did you see that I missed? And the other agent said, at the time, she said, I didn't see anything. I couldn't put my finger on it. She said, but I had that feeling in my gut. There was something wrong. And she said, and after you left, I got to thinking about it. He had on his lab coat. So I'm asking you, Dean, or any agents, have you ever seen a doctor in a grocery store with his lab jacket on?
That's right. That's right.
What about at a gas pump, pumping gas? It doesn't happen.
That's
and
right.
then she said, when he asked for you, he put his hands on the counter and his fingernails were absolutely filthy. How many of you all have ever seen a doctor with filthy fingernails?
That's right.
It doesn't happen. So the moral of that story, the lesson learned there is that her gut told her there is something wrong. And she didn't respect it. Well, the agent who heard it, she tried to warn the other agent. And then the question is always, did the other agent's gut tell her? And the answer is probably yes. But she was excited about showing and possibly earning a commission, so she ignored it. Listen to your gut. If you have to get out of a situation, make up an excuse or apologize later, that's our number one warning mechanism. And if you hear nothing else today, you have to hear that. Trust your gut.
Right. You know, and that's such a great point, because ultimately you need to be confident finding a way to get yourself out of that situation, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And you know,
and to that point, meeting at the office is what we tend to think about as the best way to screen a potential buyer to feel safe. So the fact that this person came to the office, in most cases, would have solved that initial fear, but it was because they were within a disguise. So simply meeting at the office in advance is not enough.
It's not enough. There are steps to take when you meet in the office. And one of them is to get information from them. And that includes an ID. But let's talk about that meeting in the office. And back in the olden days, we would call it CITO, coming to the office. And that would be the first safety tip, right? And right. Brokers would tell agents, you know, have your new clients come into the office. But sometimes agents miss the point of that. Why are you doing it? Not just for the sake of doing it. Two things. One, it increases witness potential. If someone means you harm, they want to do what they can do to you and then leave without any witnesses. And number two, it allows you an opportunity to be productive, to get information from them. I probably shouldn't say it, but I remember as an agent, a new agent, just being excited. I had clients and we drove all over town. I can't count how many houses we looked at. I never took the time to make sure they could actually qualify for the houses we were looking at. So when it came time
Right.
to put pen to paper, they couldn't qualify. So one of the things that you're doing at that first meeting is, of course, increasing witness potential. And if they question it and they don't want to do it, you need to wonder why. And secondly, getting their information, getting a copy of their ID, finding out what they can actually afford and what they like. So it's twofold. So, and then the pandemic happened, Dean. And before the pandemic, I had always been talking to agents about having clients meet at the office, and how many times that agents just kind of in one ear and out the other. They wouldn't do it.
That's
And
right.
then the pandemic happened. And I don't know, did your state close?
Yeah, well, yes, we had a lot of the restrictions in place. We didn't close, completely. We weren't forced to not sell real estate. Some areas just weren't able to even show real estate, right? But
Yes.
yes, it was very heavy with precautions, but we weren't shut down completely.
Right. And I'm here in Kansas City, Missouri. And I don't think I mentioned I have a twin sister. She and I got our real estate licenses together 35 years ago. And she's still a real estate agent. And everything closed here. So everything had to go virtual. And again, I get to travel around the country and speak in different cities and states, and some never closed, some never missed the beat. It's interesting to find out.
Yes,
But all
we,
the same,
we definitely had the restrictions to clarify, that, people needed to stay home, and a lot of businesses were closed. People were working very remote. I thought you were referring to showings in general, because I know some areas you couldn't even show real estate. Not
right.
even
So
just
some
offices
places,
being closed. Yeah.
right. Some places, nothing was happening.
Right.
You're not
That's
going
right.
to any houses. You're not meeting anyone. So
Right.
we were forced to go virtual. And that meant my business too. My calendar, all of a sudden, those places I had to go, no more. And everything converted to Zoom. It converted virtually. So I had to go out, buy a camera, buy the equipment, set up a studio. And real estate agents had to go virtual too. So that is an area that I liked, because I had been telling real estate agents, what about just doing a virtual first meeting? Just something, if you won't go in person, if you won't have them come to your office, and trust me, real estate agents were not having their clients come into the office. I said, let's do it virtually, in one ear, out the other. And then the pandemic happened. So we didn't have a choice. So here's what I say. And we talk, and one of the articles that I wrote is about practices we learned from the pandemic that needs to continue. And one of them is working virtually when possible. So that first meeting can be virtual. And that's for a couple of reasons. And what you'll find is when I talk safety, as a solopreneur who has to make my way out here, I'm telling real estate agents who are pretty much solopreneurs too, but you have a support system. I'm telling you that everything you do needs to be about building your business, doing the right thing and building your business. So what I say is that first meeting can be virtual. Think about it. Just, hey, client, new client, hey, our safety policy or my practice or my rule is that I need to have a first meeting. And to make it convenient for you, let's just do a real quick FaceTime, or we'll do a Google Duo or a Zoom. Just real quick and easy. Now, the deal is no one can use that excuse, I don't know how to do it anymore. No one can do that, because we've all had to do it, whether in business, to stay sane, to stay connected. My family, we would have Zoom family get-togethers. So everybody knows how to do it. So I'm telling agents to jump on that first virtual meeting, talk to your client, and that does two things. Number one, they know their image is captured. So if they're thinking about doing something wrong, it's not going to happen. And number two, it helps you be more productive. Think about this. If they want to see properties and you've talked to them and you have a general idea of where and what they want to see, how about sharing your screen on that first meeting and showing them some of the properties and saving time driving around town, paying $50 a gallon for gas? Think about that. You can be more productive in that virtual first meeting and rule out some houses and then sell that as a point to your clients. This is for your benefit too and your safety. So that's what I'm talking about, leading with safety. Every conversation needs to have a safety aspect, not only for you, but protecting the consumer. And that's how real estate agents stand out in the sea of 1.5 million realtors that belong to NAR.
That's right. That's right. And those are great points, because ultimately it is about standing out, right? And it's about making an impression. And it's okay to even talk in terms of safety to the client. For your safety as well as mine, here's what we're going to discuss before we even get started.
Exactly.
The client doesn't know the realtor either, so So, the client, respectfully, the client shouldn't be trustworthy out the gate either, just like we're not. So it allows them to create that comfort as well.
Exactly. And when we talk about safety, sometimes people do the little eye rolls like, oh, I only work in the daytime. I only work in good neighborhoods. And when I hear that, I want to scream. If you think about when people say good neighborhoods, as long as criminals have cars, no such thing as a good neighborhood.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the higher end neighborhoods, that's where the good stuff is. And that's where they assume the rich real estate agents are. So you need to be alert and aware no matter where you're working. And then when I hear oh, I only work in the daytime, so I don't need to worry about that. When you look at crimes against real estate agents, you will notice something. First of all, you will notice that they pretty much happen in the daytime.
Mhm.
Secondly, they happen in model homes and they happen in upscale homes. So this is a topic that impacts every single real estate agent. And what I do is I don't operate from a base of fear. I don't want to scare you and say you can't do your job. I'm here to give you tools to do your job, not only in a safer manner, but a more profitable manner, because you're not just thinking about your safety. And like Dean said, the consumer realizes that you're looking out for them too. And I say it out loud. And when you think about the fact that the US Department of Labor considers real estate sales and leasing a high risk hazardous occupation, you know that. And your job description reads simply that you make a living meeting complete strangers in empty houses. You
Yes.
make a living sitting in empty houses waiting for strangers to walk in. So
Yes.
just sit with that for a minute.
That's a powerful point.
It really is, but it doesn't have to be a fearful point, and that's my job, is to not scare you with statistics, numbers, and stories, but to say, here's how we overcome the stories, and here's how we not repeat the stories. And by the way, here's how you build business doing so.
Right, right. Excellent. Excellent. So what are some of the key points that you're making sure that people know about in their day-to-day practice? What are some of those key tips, pro tips that realtors should take heed?
One of the what I'm excited about, and when we talk about what's new, but I hear a lot of the marketing managers or gurus telling real estate agents, here's how you stand apart. You need to be the expert in your neighborhood. You need to go on camera, do a quick video, and you need to share it on social media. You need to interview local businesses. And I see real estate, and I am a consumer of all things social media. So I see real estate agents out there doing it. So my goal is to give you a tool to do it better. And here's what I've discovered. And I don't know how many agents here, or if you're on the Nextdoor app. Are you, Dean?
I am, yeah.
You are. Okay, so what you know about Nextdoor, what I know about Nextdoor is that I have it set up to give me alerts. So whenever there is anything going on in the neighborhood that I choose, which is the one I live in and the one surrounding me, I'm kind of nosy. So I want to know what's going on. And I think I have it set up for a 10-mile radius. I want to know. And so I get alerts. Hey, there was a burglary last night, a catalytic converter theft, or I lost my dog, or we found a dog, or here's some garden tips. I think Nextdoor is the next big thing for real estate agents. And if they don't know it, my job is to tell them that. And I have started including that in all of my training. And as a matter of fact, I'm working on a whole separate training program. Let me tell you why. Real estate agents, if you're not on Nextdoor, get on it. Get on it for the benefit of your family, to know what's going on in your neighborhood, to stay safe in your neighborhood.
Yes.
Get on it to build your business. So think about farming. On Nextdoor, they want to verify that you actually live where you say you live, and they have a procedure to do that. And then you have access to all of the neighborhoods around you, or the ones that you choose. So I know what's going on in the adjoining neighborhood. So as a real estate agent, not only do you know about the crimes that are occurring in your neighborhood, so you can keep yourself and your family safe, you see what's going on in other neighborhoods. And this is where I'm telling you to get nosy, but to be helpful. You don't have to brag about, I'm a real estate agent, everybody look at me, I can sell a house, I can help you buy a house. No, you need to show up authentically. And that means that you're commenting on posts that you see. If there's someone talking about a missing cat or a missing dog, and you can offer some assistance, or just even, I'm sorry this happened to you, do it. Your name is on those comments. On your profile picture, I'd love for you to find a way to put your business, your real estate logo on there. And then when people are asking questions, this is where you show up. So someone says, can anyone help me find a roofer? And I tell you this, Dean, that's where I find contractors on Nextdoor. And because I can see the comments and I can see the reviews and feedback. So people go there for that. Imagine a real estate agent writing, hey, as a real estate agent, I work with a lot of contractors. Here are a couple that I recommend, but do your own due diligence, but these, I have had good luck with them. Imagine a real estate agent showing up when someone's talking about, hey, what's going at the house on the corner. Imagine a real estate agent showing up saying, I happen to know about that house and I'm happy to answer any questions. But then just to circle back and to wrap this up, this is where you can set up a group. You can set up free groups on Nextdoor. And you always hear people talking about giving market reports. Real estate agents need to give a market report. And then you're thinking, who wants to hear that? Let me tell you who wants to hear that. Nextdoor is made up of people, neighbors who live in neighborhoods. And in my neighborhood, it just so happens that my sister lives down the street. When the houses in my neighborhood go on sale, my first phone call or text to my sister, hey, how much is that house? And then recently houses have literally doubled here. I'm not interested in moving. My sister lives down the street. My mom's around the corner. But think about a neighbor who's on Nextdoor, who's a member of your group that report your market report, and they find out that you're a real estate agent. Now they know an agent they can ask you, and then they can also find out about what's going on in any specific neighborhood. So be that agent. So that's number one. If you're going to be on social media, be on the social media that matters. Show up as a real estate agent. That way people recognize your name. Another thing is utilize the tools that you have. When the National Association of Realtors does their member safety report, and they just released the 2022 safety report, and the statistics are there, the numbers are there, but what I look at is when they ask real estate agents, what safety tools are you using? Guess. I want you to guess, Dean, or any agent on here in the chat, what do you think the #1 safety tool that real estate agents who were surveyed said that they used on a regular basis?
I'm going to guess something like pepper spray or something like that somebody would carry with them. Something that would physically protect them.
Look at you being right.
I don't have pepper spray, but that would be the most common answer I think most people would say.
Right, but more and more people, no matter where I go, are carrying guns. They have to concealed and carry permit. So if it's legal,
I hope that's not the top answer. I hope a gun is not a top answer for that question, but I know that more and more people have license to carry.
And they truly are. So no matter which part of the country, everybody's like, I have a concealed and carry permit, I'm carrying a gun. But then when I hear agents say something, and I just heard this last week, I forget where I was. And I had an agent come up. She said, my husband wants me to carry a gun. She said, but I'm scared of guns. And so I say, in that situation, don't even carry it. Because if you're scared of it, you're not comfortable with it, you're not going to have it accessible, you're not going to use it. There was a real estate agent in Colorado a couple of years ago who was showing a property. And then the guy decided he wants to pull out a knife and a can of bear spray. She pulled out her gun and she started shooting. She survived. So I talk about the lesson learned there is, first of all, she had her weapon accessible. She could get to it. Secondly, she knew how to use it. And thirdly, she was not afraid to use it. So if you have a gun, the first training just to get the permit is not enough. You need to practice, and you need to have it accessible, and you need to know that you're going to use it. The National Association doesn't have of Realtors doesn't have any rules about whether or not you can carry a handgun. What they do is they refer it to the local level. So if your state and your local association is okay with it, then you can carry your weapon. But more importantly, check with your real estate, your sales company, and make sure you can actually carry a gun while working. And again, as long as you know how to use it, you're comfortable using it, that's a plus. For the pepper spray, 19% of the real estate agents choose pepper spray as their weapon of choice, and it's only followed by firearms. So in those situations, I teach to know the difference between mace, tear gas, and pepper spray, which one you should be using. And the answer is pepper spray, and that's an OC on the label of your spray. And that's what law enforcement officials as well as postal carriers use because it works on people and it works on dogs.
Yep.
Same thing with the pepper spray. Be familiar with it, know how it works. Practice. If you have the little traditional keyring pepper spray, you have about 8 to 10 sprays in there. So go outside, make sure it's not windy. Practice, make sure you know how it's going to work if and when you need it. And then most importantly, double check the expiration date, make sure it's not expired. And you do that at least twice a year so you have peace of mind. So weapons are important and knowing how to use them is even more important.
Yep, it makes perfect sense. And the idea of testing it to make sure it works, how often do we think, well, I have it, when I need it, I've never needed it. Well, will it work when it comes time that you need it?
Exactly. And another thing, I think this is number 3, you wanted actionable safety tips that your agents can go forth and start using immediately.
Yes.
One thing that I am talking about more and more is that smartphone that every single one of us has. Use it as a weapon, use it as a tool to stay safe. And when we talk about safety, I talk about it in layers or levels. So we've talked about a weapon that you use. We've talked about safe practices, and that's meeting first and all that's involved with meeting and showing a client. And then let's talk about some of the tools. And then one thing alone is not typically enough. So that's why you layer. Everything starts with safety practices. You need to know how to screen, how to show, and how to host an open house safely. You need to know all of those things before you even step foot in the field. And then we start talking about weapons and other tools and building your business.
Right.
That smartphone that every single one of us carries has a few features that could keep us safe, and most don't even know about it. So whether you have an iPhone or whether you have an Android, you need to know that if you go to your security settings, and I always advise that you spend some time there, go to your security settings, you can find out how pressing the power button continuously will get help to you. It calls law enforcement officials. So you need to know about that. You need to know if you use Google Maps. And by the way, anyone here use Google Maps?
Mm-hmm. I think everybody would use Google Maps, especially
Most
in our
people do.
business, other than GPS in your car.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
even if you have GPS in your car, I have it in my car, but I prefer Google Maps. And let me tell you a real quick story why. I bought my car pre-owned. And when I go to the map location, when I first got my car, I went to the map location. I can see every location that the previous owner had been, including their home destination.
Yes.
So people don't realize that our cars are devices. Whenever you hook anything up to a USB, and we do that to charge, that is sending information back and forth. I rented a car when I was in DC when I met you. I rented a car because I had to speak in Virginia. I pulled up the in-car navigation system or the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, and I can see all of the people who had rented the car, all of their information, their Wi-Fi names and all that information. So you need to be alert and be careful. Anyway, so maps. And I like using my phone instead of the car system. Maps has an option that you can share your location with someone. So when we talk about real estate safety, one thing that I know is that when you look at crimes against real estate agents, they're always alone.
Yes.
So that is one area that can be changed. And by having someone with you truly reduces the number. There truly is safety in numbers, but sometimes you can't physically do that. But if you need to do it, you can. And I always tell agents, there's never a time that you have to host an open house alone. There are industry partners, affiliates who would do backflips to host that open house with you.
Right.
A new agent who would want to shadow you. So never an excuse to do an open house alone. But let's say you're out in the field and you need to work because you can't wait for someone. In that situation, you can create a partner. And I say do that using Google Maps. You can share your location. So you'll type in where you want to go, and then you will see a screen. And then the screen will say, share my location. And then you have your Google contact list right there. You pick who can see your location in real time. And the good thing is you can limit how long they see your location. I had a real estate agent who says, I just keep my location on for my husband and my son 24/7, 365 days of the year. She said, that way I don't have to worry if they don't know where I am. It takes them going to their phones, looking at my account, they can see in real time where she is at all times.
Wow.
And then I had an agent say, I don't want my wife knowing where I am all the time. She could think I'm working and I could be on the golf course. So the value there is you limit how long someone can see your location. So agents can choose the time where they're hosting an open house where they share their location or when they're doing a showing. So you control who can see your location. You control how long they can see your location. So there's a level of safety there. But the most important part is that someone needs to know where you are. So this is another reason I like Google. If you all use Google Calendars, does your office use the Google Shared Calendar, Dean?
Yes.
So many companies do, and that's ideal because with the Google Shared Calendar, someone knows where you are. And you take it an extra step with the Google Maps, someone can see your location. So let's say you are scheduled to show from 1 to 3. And let's say, and you have voice that to someone, I will be working from 1 to 3. So someone's on alert and they know to kind of watch out for you. Let's say it's 3:30 or 4 o'clock and you're not back. What they can do, your contact list is go to your location and see exactly where you are. And I know you all remember when Google first got started, they would drive around with those cameras on top of the car. And it's like, what are they doing? This is so invasive. But the value there is, let's say you aren't answering your phone and they can see that you're at a specific address. The next step is Google Street View. They can pull up the outside of where you are. So they can see if you're at a house, a commercial property, a park, they can actually see where you are. So utilize the Google tools in order to make sure your location is known at all times. And secondly, where someone can actually find you. And the final benefit of Google, and no, I'm not a spokesperson, but I'm just sharing tools that work. I lost my phone for the first time, I want to say 2 years ago. What you can do with Google, and when you spend time in the security settings, which I'm hopeful you all will get done either this evening or this weekend, you will enable Find My Device. What I did when I lost my phone, got to my laptop, I typed in Find My Device. And then as invasive and intrusive as it is, Google presented to me a map of everywhere that I had been. They wrote a timeline of everywhere that I had been. Not only that, but they mapped it out for me. So I can see everywhere that I was, which is where my phone was. Unfortunately, I did not recover my phone, but the fact is that they might have taken the battery out or the battery might have died. But after I realized that I was not going to be able to recover my phone, the next thing I typed into Google was erase my device. And so that's so important for you all as agents, because you have client information on your phone and you have financial information and just anything on your phone that you don't want in the wrong hands. So I simply erase my device. So someone may have my phone, but you no longer have the information on it. So definitely explore your security settings on your devices, your laptops, your tablets, and your phones.
Yes, that's a powerful tool right there. You know, I wasn't familiar with that. So that's awesome.
Great. I'm teaching you something new.
That's right. Exactly. We're always learning, aren't we, Tracy?
We are.
Yep. Fantastic. Those are powerful tools. You know, when we talk about Google, we talk about the internet, and we look at all of the safety measures we need to look at. You know, there are a lot of us that are putting disclaimers on the bottom of our emails and, and safety measures just to protect our clients and, heed our warning. But of course, people don't read every warning that we try to give. Is there anything? Go ahead.
Great. I'm glad you brought that. Sorry to interrupt you, but I get excited.
Please, no.
Before I forget it. Excellent point there. Business email compromise, BEC, that's the #1 scam or fraud in the real estate industry. And when you think about wire fraud, that's still a big deal. It's an ongoing deal. And so this is where, again, where I tell agents to lead with safety. Every conversation, talk about safety, your safety rules or the safety of the consumer. So let's talk really quickly about wire fraud. That is something that happens no matter how many warnings are out there, no matter how many news headlines. And that is something that can literally be prevented. So when we talk about any kind of cybersecurity scams, you have to know that human behavior is what lights the fire, what starts it. So that means human behavior can literally stop it. In order for us to be victims of any of those scams, we have to take an action. whether it's clicking a link, whether it's downloading something, whether it's responding, whether it's not checking something thoroughly, that opens us up to be victimized. And on my phone, and criminals now used to just come to you with the poorly written emails. Now you get the text messages, they get you in Facebook Messenger. So I got a text message that, hey, your PayPal password has been compromised. Click here to reset it. I was going toward that blue link, and then it's like, wait. And so what I tell agents is to pause, stop, and think before you click anything to download, respond, or anything. Think about it. So I stopped for a moment, and then I went to my PayPal account. Nothing was wrong. So and they hit you hard, they hit you fast everywhere. So if you just stopped before you responded, wire fraud is a big deal. And there was a consumer who lost $150,000 due to a wire fraud transaction. What he did is he sued the real estate agent, he sued the broker, and he sued the lender. He sued them for $150,000. And what I'm telling agents is when you're having the conversation with the consumer, whether it's a seller or a buyer, whoever is going to be wiring funds or accepting a wire, you need to tell them, do not ever under any circumstance wire money without talking to me or without double checking with me, because the criminals are sending those emails and they're hoping that the person on the other end is not informed. You mentioned a signature, the disclaimer signature. Yeah. If you go to the NAR website, the Realtor.NAR website, there is a wire fraud disclaimer that agents can copy and paste in their email signature. So every outgoing email will have that disclaimer. And it tells the person, don't ever wire money, don't call phone numbers contained within any email. Pick up the phone and call me, call your agent or call the lender directly, and make sure they know to do that. And also, and I talk so much, sometimes I get ahead of myself. And then also say it out loud, say it to the consumer, say the words, never ever wire money unless you talk directly to me. No matter email, no matter how it comes in, no matter who it is, never do it. So say the words out loud. And I do believe there is a form, I don't know if you can get it at your local association or if even a company can create a waiver saying, I have told my client to never wire money without talking to me, have them sign it. So you've told them 3 times, 3 different ways, never do it. So when they do it, they're not going to get mad and they can try to sue you. Anybody can sue anyone, but you can show that you've taken the extra steps to protect them. And along those same lines, how many people out there have cyber insurance? And if anyone out there has cyber insurance, just write down cyber insurance. I am very curious. Do you know, Dean, of any agents who have cyber insurance?
You know, there aren't many that have cyber insurance. We have cyber insurance as a company, you know, to protect our agents, but individual policies are so important. And I know not everyone is doing that. You know, it's not an inexpensive proposition, but it's critical.
Good, and I'm so happy to hear it. And I'm not surprised that you have it because you seem to be on top of things and sharp when it comes to safety. So I am happy that you do. Here's what I am telling agents why cyber insurance is important. And you can do one of 2 things. You can talk to your E&O agents about a cyber insurance policy, or it sounds like HomeSmart does have a cyber insurance company. Get a quote for cyber insurance. Yes. When we all had to start working virtually, and even if we weren't forced to, everyone's working more and more virtually now. You have these laptops that you use and you transact business on your laptops. You can be the victim of a scam, an email fraud, and someone can steal your information. They can hack your account to steal your information. If that happens, you're liable. If the consumer says, I'm going to sue you, you're liable. So think about the story that I shared with the guy who lost $150,000. If he would be victorious in court, that if that agent, that broker, and that lender cannot write a $150,000 check, they're out of business. So cyber insurance is more than just insuring against the loss. Part of it is educational. They're going to make sure you prevent the loss, just like anything else. When your auto insurance wants to make sure you drive the speed limit, you have your seatbelts on so that you get a lower rate and you reduce the odds of having a claim. Same thing with cyber insurance. And that's something that I also do is I have a whole technology boot camp where we talk about scams and fraud prevention, and we talk about how to prevent that. We talk about how to spot a fraudulent email. And speaking of emails, if you are using a free email account, you need to stop. Free emails, the Yahoos, the Hotmail, I don't know if that's even still around, the Gmail. They're easy. We love them. They come right to our phone. They're easy. Criminals think they're easy too. You should not be transacting business on a free email account. Your company more than likely has a domain email account. So it would be Susie at HomeSmart or whatever the real estate company. And when criminals see that, they think, oh, that real estate company more than likely has an IT department and security protocols in place. Not going to waste my time trying. But if they see free email account, there's like, this is going to be easy. So I'm telling you.
That's one of the biggest sources of these scams, right? Where people are using it. I get messages all the time from my agents saying, I got this text, is this you? It doesn't sound like you. Chances are, to your point earlier of stop and think, chances are, if you really think about it, it's never written the way the sender would have written it, right? So it can be detected if you just slow down and take a closer look at it.
And they're like I said, I did 3 hours training with the Houston real estate agents yesterday, talking about how to spot those emails, what to look for. And it sounds like your agents are on top of it. The fact that they question you, they question it, means that they are aware that the crimes are happening. Unfortunately, I talk to agents who don't know better, and I don't talk to them until after they've sent the gift card that their broker supposedly asked for, or whatever the scam may be. So awareness and alertness is super key. And I'm afraid for the agents who think, oh, this doesn't affect me, not going to happen to me. And one of the areas that surprised me, that I guess surprised the industry the most, is who's been victimized recently. When we look back at crimes against agents in the past 2.5 years or so, they have mostly been men. And a lot of times when I'm doing my safety classes, the guys just they're looking at their watches. It's like, this is for the women, hurry up so we can get on to real business. And then I promise you, I had a class and there was one guy in the class. And when he heard, oh, it's safety, he got up and left. After he left, what I did is I have a screen where I show 10 agents' names. And then I go down the list of names. Every single one of them has been men, and every single one of them has been murdered. They have been robbed. They have been assaulted. And I tell the stories. And until this summer, until July, the most recent crimes, the high profile crimes against agents, have been male agents. And back in 2017, I wrote an article for Realtor magazine, and it talks about 4 ways that male agents put themselves in danger. And it was the most read article of the year on the website. And last year for RIS Media, I wrote another or follow-up article of the most recent crimes against agents against males, and not only talked about the crime, but I talked about actionable safe practices. Here's what needs to happen to make sure it doesn't happen again. But the bottom line is that safety impacts male agents, for some reason even more so, and female agents. So everyone needs to pay attention. Everyone needs to get some kind of safety training. And the last 2 crimes against agents was in Las Vegas. A female agent was assaulted in a property in July. And then more recently, this probably the beginning of safety month, for some reason, crimes, I noticed them during safety month. A real estate agent walked in a property and there was someone squatting there. And it was a female agent, but before that, all male. So everyone needs to pay attention to safe practices.
Yes, and it's so true. And when we look at, just jumping back quickly, because we are getting some comments on our feed, and people are saying, they're either looking into cyber insurance or they have cyber insurance. Someone is joining us as a home inspection company, and even they have been very wise to make sure that they've got the cyber insurance as well.
I agree. And then I know we're getting short on time.
We'll be mindful of our time for our viewers, of course. Everyone's busy, but I love all of this content. So any last thoughts that are important that we haven't hit on yet?
Here's something I'm doing for your agents. And I usually do it during my regular training, but I'm doing it for your agents because first and foremost, the fact that you invited me here is impressive to me, that you didn't just pick a talking head, but you picked a true subject matter expert to spend time with your agents. And I truly appreciate that. Here's what I'm doing. One of the things that I have created as part of my designation, but I'm going to skim it off and do it today, is I am telling agents not only how to lead with safety, but I'm giving you some tools. The most popular tool is my FSBO safety tip sheet. And I know when we're done here, you're going to put my link in the comment section. So after we're done, I want people to go to the comment section and grab this. What I did is I created a FSBO safety tip sheet, and it has 13 safety tips for FSBOs. And I always ask, who here is excited about FSBOs? No hands go up. And they don't go up because FSBOs don't like you. They don't necessarily respect the jobs that you do. They think, put a sign in the yard, sell the house. How hard can this be? We save the commission. What they don't know is what they don't know. And for agents who I get to train, you are alert and aware of things that could go wrong, of dangers that you may not have even talked about. Those FSBOs don't have the benefit of that. So on this safety tip sheet, it's a PDF that you're going to download and print and then staple your business card to it. It says 13 things they need to be aware of. It starts with don't let strangers in your house, which is the first thing they're going to do. It talks about getting medicine out of medicine cabinets, jewelry out of jewelry boxes, hiding mail and anything that could have financial or medical data that can be stolen. And then they get down, don't show alone, get those devices out of sight, have someone accompany you when you're showing. And my thought is by the time they get to number 13, they're thinking, oh my God, what were we thinking? This is dangerous. What are we thinking? They have a stack of business cards this thick. Guess whose business card rises to the top of the stack? The agent who looked out for them. You mail it to them, stick it in the door handle, hand it to them. You're not talking about business. You're not telling them that you have a listing. You're saying, here is my community service. I'm looking out for you. And then that's all you do. And I guarantee you, when it's time for them to look for a real estate agent, your card's going to rise to the top. So that is something. And then the resources, some of the articles that I talked about, they can find that on the link. But I want agents to be able to hit the ground running with different safe practices, a way to do business safer, but also to build business and increase their productivity.
Fantastic.
And their bottom lines, I forgot that.
What's that?
And their bottom lines, I forgot about that. My whole premise is not, you'll never hear me talking about just safety, but the next sentence will be, here's how to use it to build your business. So safety and making more money by being safe, protecting the consumers, that's my mindset. And that's the mindset I want for this industry. And safety culture, that's my keynote. And that's why I'm excited to talk to you, because you want to have the safety culture in the industry. You don't wait until something happens, but you're saying, let's start building this culture now where it's second nature. You don't have to think about it. And you know that I'm looking out for your safety as a broker, not just providing the productivity and the sales and the social media. I'm making sure you make it home safe to your family every night, in addition to producing for me. And then, by the way, here's a way to produce a little bit more and be safe while you're doing it and protect the consumer, our consumer.
That's right. And you mentioned their business, right? Every realtor is a business in themselves, right? The term you use that I use is the solopreneur, right? Everyone is running a business. What the unfortunate reality is that many people think that we're in sales, and we're not. We're in customer service. Every realtor is running an individual business that's in the customer service industry, right? They just happen to be working with buyers and sellers of real estate. So when we talk about customer service, it's providing information. It's providing content like this to inform the consumer so that the consumer can be well aware of not only their surroundings, but their options, and thus the information, the person armed with the most information and the consultation with the consumer is going to be hired every time. So it's all about being prepared.
I could not have said it better. And then you stand out from all of the other agents because you're the one talking about something important to them, putting their house on the market and keeping the stuff safe inside. For buyers, you're giving them the resources that they can find the crime statistics for any given area. Since as an agent, you can't legally answer that. But instead of saying, I don't know, you're saying, here's a spot crime, here's a website to look at statistics, or call your police department, look at the statistics in the area you want to move into. So you are the agent always talking about their safety, and that's important to them, and that gives you an edge.
That's right. And too many realtors are just going in and giving a market analysis, right? It's much more than giving a price. That's what appraisers do. Appraisers give value. We give advice on the process, the whole process, start to finish. Price is just a mere part of what we do as realtors, right? And
I could
the
not.
consumer
Oh,
needs to know
I
that.
couldn't have said it better.
Yes, we speak the same language, Tracy. I appreciate that.
I really do.
So this has been great. Again, we want to be mindful of everyone's time. I look forward to future projects with you and bringing things here locally as well as nationally. I know you do things on a very large scale, but I appreciate our relationship and the opportunity to do more with you. I do want to make sure that I'm checking the question. There was a question. There are a few accolades and thank you, shout outs, right, that we're getting as comments, but there was a question, where is it best to purchase pepper spray? Where does one go to purchase pepper spray?
I happen to be a resource. I've been selling pepper spray for 27 years. So when you get my information in the link, you can see that that's a place, and I vet the suppliers, and you need to make sure you're buying the right thing, whether it's me or anyone else. Buy the right product. It needs to be pure OC. Check the expiration date because you don't want to buy an old product and it won't spray, and test it before you need it. Be familiar with it, but definitely look for OC on the label, and that's the key right there.
That's great information. I am posting the link. We had 2 links that we discussed. I'm posting your recent article with RIS Media, as well as the link for all of your information. So if you're tuning in, save that link and bookmark it, because it has all of the links to many different things, not just Tracey's many accolades. So great resource there. So good stuff. So Tracey, again, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone tuning in. Tracey, just stay on the line. I'm going to stop our live stream so we can get everybody back to their real estate business. If anyone did not receive any of the information or they're looking for more, please reach out to me directly. Tracey and I are in touch, and we welcome continuing the conversation. So above all else, be safe out there, everyone. That is so important. So
thanks
any
for
last thoughts, Tracey?
Thanks for doing what you do. I'm telling you, not many broker owners do it. Thank you for doing it, and everybody stay safe.
Thank you. All right, folks, have a great day, and we'll see you all soon. We'll see you in the field. All right, live stream stopped. Tracey, thank you so much.
I told you I talk a lot.
Oh my God, I love it. It's all great content. I was excited to have some comments in the chat. People were watching. Even if people weren't responding, we definitely had viewers. So that recording goes live. I gave you the link with with my Facebook page. That's my business page.
Oh,
so
okay, good.
That recording stays within any Facebook page once you've gone live with it. So feel free to check that out. I look forward to connecting and sharing it with the state association. Again, it was shared with Home Smart agents across the country. Help me out with, and I'm just going to stop our recording as well so we can finish that out.